He was entirely in you.
Definitely.
In you and your name. That's what people don't give a fuck about those 3 letters.
At all.
At all. They just know Terence Crawford's the best. And who he's fighting, who cares? Like, whatever it is, that's the big fight. It isn't WBO, WBC, and IBF. Nobody gives a fuck.
They don't.
I always say I never understand why we become champion have to pay for a belt. Keep that shit.
Yeah.
Keep it.
As long as they paid for the sanctioning bodies. But Crawford left out one, and that was the WBC. So, by default, on paper, he's not undisputed.
Joe Rogan just stirred up major controversy. In one of his most provocative statements in months, he criticized the WBC after they stripped Terence "Bud" Crawford of his super middleweight championship and revoked his boxing license. And honestly, it's hard to fault him. This isn't just about a belt being taken away. It's a clash between a trailblazing fighter and a governing body that seems to believe it controls a legacy.
Those don't mean nothing. We paying for the belts.
How much do you have to pay?
We got paid like, what, 3%?
3%?
2%, 3%. Like,
that's crazy.
Definitely.
That's so
like,
crazy.
It's like I'm paying you to make me a belt.
Rogan didn't mince words. He called out what countless fans have been suspecting for years. Boxing has become a pay-to-play world, where even the top fighters often have to bow just to earn the title of champion. Crawford, finally, had the courage to push back and say enough is enough. The fallout didn't stay in the ring. From Keishan Davis stepping up to defend Crawford like family, to Teofimo Lopez firing back, and even the legendary Jimmy Lennon Jr. quietly acknowledging some harsh truths about the sport, the conversation exploded. But of all the voices, Rogan's resonated the most. Not because he's a boxing insider, but because he voiced what everyone was thinking. Let's dive into what really happened.
To each individual section?
Yeah. Wow. Some of them is different. Some of them is 3, some of them 2. You know, so it's like, I'm paying for you to come out here and watch me fight to give me a belt that, you know what I mean, I'm already paying.
Rogan's comments quickly went viral, sparking debates about what this controversy could mean for the future of boxing. What began quietly escalated fast. On December 3rd, the WBC officially stripped Terence Crawford of his super middleweight title, citing unpaid sanctioning fees for his last 2 fights, his dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez and his earlier match against Israel Madrimov. Already, that decision raised eyebrows. But here's the kicker. Crawford reportedly earned $50 million from the Canelo fight, a number that sent shockwaves through the boxing world.
% of his fees to go there. So Crawford made in the ballpark of $50 million. The WBC assessed $300,000 sanction fee, with $225,000 going to the fund and $75,000 going to the WBC.
Even after delivering a historic performance that should have cemented his legacy, Crawford was accused by the WBC of not paying what they deemed his dues. Almost immediately, the organization took action. His title was stripped, and his boxing license was revoked.
I never understand why we become champion have to pay for a belt. Keep that shit.
Yeah.
Keep it. I'm not gonna work 14, 15 years for me to pay for something I worked for. When I went to the Olympics, did I pay for that damn?
Then came Keishan Davis, one of boxing's fastest rising stars, and someone unafraid to speak his mind. In a heated interview, Davis voiced what many fighters have long felt but rarely say out loud. He questioned the idea of paying for a championship belt. "I worked my whole life to earn this," he said. "Why should I pay for something I've already achieved? When I competed in the Olympics, did I pay for that medal? No. Keep the belt. You're not taking my money."
No. If I walk into this arena without this belt, is these people still gonna show up? Yes. So keep the belt. You're not gonna take my money.
That statement went viral, appearing on every major boxing page within hours. Davis didn't stop there. He confirmed he had told the WBO the same thing, that paying for titles is outdated, unfair, and downright insulting. To him, belts are symbols of achievement, not a paycheck. No fighter should have to buy acknowledgement for the battles they've already fought and the blood they've already shed.
I agree with Terence, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't agree with paying for belts. That's why, for all the sanctioning bodies, you know what I'm saying? And I told this to the one that I was under, the WBO. I told him to. I said, I don't really believe in that. And he explained why. And I was like, okay, but I still don't agree with it. You know what I mean? So like, I'm always gonna be like for not paying for belt, because what the fuck are we paying it for?
Fans were all in. It wasn't just about supporting Crawford. It was a message from a new generation fed up with the old rules. And just as the debate reached a fever pitch, Joe Rogan jumped into the conversation. Picture him at the podcast MIC, leaning in, voice low but charged with intensity, that mix of disbelief and righteous frustration. He cut straight to the point. Why should fighters pay hundreds of thousands for a belt they've already earned? It's like punishing someone for winning. Fans don't care about logos. They care about the fight. And the WBC? Rogan called him out for looking greedy. Not great. His comments quickly set social media on fire.
Entirely in you.
Definitely.
In you and your name. That's what people don't give a fuck about those 3 letters.
At all.
At all. They just know Terence Crawford's the best. And who he's fighting, who cares? Like, whatever it is, that's the big fight. It isn't WBO, WBC, and IBF. Nobody gives a...
Rogan's words hit hard because he wasn't part of the system. He wasn't defending boxing's business side. He was defending the sport itself. He spoke the truth that promoters wouldn't, networks couldn't, and many fighters were too afraid to say. That the sanctioning system has become an outdated machine, feeding off the very athletes who keep the sport alive.
The system.
Yeah.
You know, because the system is you get to a certain point in time, you're a champion, make as much money as you possibly can, you retire, and then there's no more money. Now with what's going on in like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, like you can get paid insane amounts of money. Like people just want to see you perform.
Rogan even compared it to a restaurant charging a chef for serving his own creations, and he wasn't wrong. Fans across Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube lined up in agreement, saying Crawford hadn't disrespected boxing. He had simply exposed the system. But, as always, not everyone shared that view. Enter Teofimo Lopez, who had a very different perspective on the whole situation.
Canelo and Crawford was indeed for the undisputed. However, it was indeed, now hear me out, Punch, this was indeed accurate as long as they paid for the sanctioning bodies. But Crawford left out one, and that was the WBC. So, by default, on paper, he's not undisputed.
For Lopez, it was straightforward. Rules are rules. He argued that a Canelo-Crawford fight was for the undisputed title, but because Crawford hadn't paid the WBC fees, on paper, he wasn't truly undisputed. I paid for my sanctioning belt, Lopez said. If they can do it to me, they can do it to him. His point was clear. If you won the belt, you follow the rules, ugly as they may be to Teo Lopez. Crawford wasn't a hero. He was a rebel, challenging a system every fighter before him had accepted, whether they liked it or not. But fans weren't buying it. Social media lit up with backlash under Lopez's posts. The rules are broken. You're defending corruption. This isn't about respect. It's about money. And that's exactly why Rogan's comments struck so hard. They expose a double standard boxing has quietly tolerated for years. As Rogan and Lopez exchanged their philosophical sparring from the sidelines, another legend decided to weigh in.
What the hell is going on? I gotta pull over for this one. What the hell is going on? We talking about anybody that bring up Terence Crawford name? You already know I'm listening, right? Yeah, somebody said that. Can Terence Crawford beat everybody on Floyd Mayweather's resume?
Then came Timothy Desert Storm Bradley, whose video rant quickly went viral. Not for politics, but for sheer passion. He didn't focus on fees or rules. He wanted to talk about greatness. Bradley declared that anyone doubting Crawford against Floyd's fighters were completely off. In his view, Crawford would have dominated everyone on Floyd's resume. Harder hitting, more versatile, and with a killer instinct dialed up to 10. Bradley didn't stop there. He even called out Floyd Mayweather directly. If you claim to be the best ever, step into the ring with Crawford and prove it. Let's see what really happens.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Terence Crawford smashed everybody that Floyd ever fought. Yup. Manfredi, done. Fried. Crawford would have beat him, dominated him, knocked him the hell out. Crawford hit harder than Floyd. Crawford hits harder than Floyd. You understand that? Killer instinct is on 10. Oh, man, come on, man. Crawford can do everything Floyd can do. and he can do it from both sides.
The clip sent fans into a frenzy. Bradley wasn't just defending Crawford. He was reshaping his legacy in real time. He made it clear that, stripped title or not, Crawford's place in boxing history was already secure. Then entered one of the sport's calmest and most respected voices, Jimmy Lennon Jr. Unlike the others, Lennon didn't take sides, but his words carried enormous weight.
I think, like Mauricio, I'm going to take a high road, but I will say it's unfortunate for the sport of boxing. I think talking about money too much and it is not the high road. And so we've seen some kind of ugly and not so pretty things, exchanges happen here. And so it's unfortunate, but it is a reality.
It's unfortunate for the sport, Lennon said. We're seeing some ugly clashes, but this isn't new. It's been happening for decades. One fighter refuses to pay sanctioning fees, and suddenly it sparks controversy. It raises serious questions about the role of these governing bodies. In other words, this goes far beyond Crawford. It's a cycle that is repeated for generations. Fighters rise, organizations profit, and when someone pushes back, they face consequences. Lennon's delivery was calm, but the message hit hard.
There's some things behind the scenes that I have heard about that aren't necessarily public yet, which makes this an impasse. So I think both have their reasons, but I would hope that this would be out of. I don't like it being as a part of the news. There's some ugliness about it, and that's unfortunate. At the same time, this has been happening in boxing for a long.
Boxing's power structure has always been fragile, and Crawford's defiance just exposed its crack for everyone to see. At its heart, Rogan's rant wasn't only about Crawford. It was about every fighter who's ever had to pay for validation. He argued that the WBC and organizations like it have turned boxing into a business first and a sport second. Fans resonated immediately. This isn't just about money. It's about respect. Crawford earned his title in the ring, not on paper. Yet a few unpaid fees and signatures wiped that achievement away in the eyes of the sanctioning body. It forced a question that cut to the core. If greatness can be taken away because of a bill, why fight for it at all? Rogan's anger, Keishan Davis's rebellion, and Bradley's loyalty all highlight the same truth. The system isn't just outdated, it's broken. Today, Crawford may be outside the WBC's favor, without a belt or license. But in reality, he has never appeared more powerful. What began as a controversy has grown into a movement.
You're not paying me, I'm paying you. So
Right.
the only one that really matters is the ring belt because it's free. It's free. Like, why do I gotta pay to be champion?
Yeah.
Once you start thinking about that, like, dang,
Yeah.
I'm paying all this money.
And the Ring Magazine belt is as respected as any of them.
Yeah, that's the number one guy in the division.
Yeah.
From Rogan's viral rant to Davis's defiance and Bradley's praise, a new generation of fighters is openly challenging the system that has controlled boxing for decades. And here's the irony. The WBC may have stripped Crawford of their belt, but in doing so, they handed him something far more powerful. A voice the world is now listening to. Crawford may have lost a title, but he gained a legacy as a man who dared to stand up to the machine. And judging by Joe Rogan's reaction, the WBC may have started a fight they can't win.so. What do you think? Was Rogan right to call out the WBC? Or did Crawford bring this controversy on himself? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over.
Got more skills than Floyd. Yeah, he would have beat everybody ass. Everybody. Zeb Judah too. That's my guy. Crawford would have got your ass too. Yup. That's my guy.